Hello and good afternoon. This is Andrew Foss, and it is July 5th. On the line today, I've got Laura Walker again as we discuss the new moon as it comes into Cancer. So with that, I'll let Laura talk more about it because the astrology, that's her thing and not mine. So here you go, Laura.
Hey, Andrew. Thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
it. How are you today?
Doing wonderfully. It's East Coast, and it's finally hot summer, which we haven't had quite enough of yet, so we're enjoying it.
Yes. Hot and humid up here. Yes, well, we began the new moon yesterday, 4th of July here in the U.S. It entered at 7:01 a.m., and the degree of the new moon is 12 degrees Cancer, 53 minutes. And if you recall, as I talked about last month, in the cases of new moons, when it is 50 arc minutes plus, I jump to the not the next Sabian symbol, but the very next one. So this is a 14 degrees of Cancer Sabian symbol month. So, I talked about this last month when we had the strict interpretation of what the Sabian symbol for the month, the theme would be, was two Dutch children speaking. Mm-hmm. And when we bumped it, according to my method, back up to the next degree, it was a woman activist in an emotional speech dramatizing a cause. And so I said, we'll see how it plays out. What do we think about that? Well, I've talked to some people about that, and everyone said that they felt like it was much more of the dramatization Sabian symbol. I could see throughout the month where the two Dutch children speaking was somewhat in effect because there was a lot of resonance going on last month, a lot of separation by vibration, meaning things and people and projects going in different places based on where they're resonating, and with common mindset. So it's probably a good idea that we do look at both of them, both of the symbols. So if we were looking at the strict interpretation for this cycle, I didn't even look it up because I blew past it. It would be 13 Cancer. 1 second. One hand slightly flexed with a very prominent thumb. So that's openness, willingness to extend. But if we bump up to the next Sabian symbol, the theme for this month is a very old man facing a vast, dark space to the northeast. And so my title for this recording and for the month is Face Off, because the totality of, Face Off, the totality of the Sabian symbols points to what was done in the dark will be brought to the light. And I'm quoting Johnny Cash, and I'm quoting him because the king of Felite, Kaith, the god of the south, is on duty for the next 3 months. And if you remember last year, I talked about Kaith and how his energetic is highly involved in harmonics and music and all things related to the south and the south direction of the medicine wheel, pleasure, arts, things like such as. Last year, my interaction, I guess you would say, with Kaith was him in the face of John Lennon. Mm-hmm. And this, remember, was during the year of the music of the spheres, the shift point between, in the ages. And so everything was very different. Everything was shifting rapidly. There was a lot of uncertainty and chaos, and messages of peace, a la John Lennon, were more prominent. This time around, this year, he's Johnny Cash, and he's just laying it out. And that is really what the theme this month is about. It is about as the control paradigm unravels, us facing what has been done, what's been done in darkness, what has been purposeless with anything, things that have come to nothing or that are aligned with what is against humanity. Okay, so that is the energetic that's in place, but we remember that that's the energetic that's in place now because we've entered a new age. We are in a different dimension of frequency, and that which is aligned with what we would consider the good is what is supported. And so we see the rats fleeing and coming undone and making bold and radical moves, and that's because they're running out of time. And so today...
Does that ever speak to what happened in Europe last week?
Yes, and it speaks to what happened today with the FBI announcing that there would be no indictment. Now, I'm going to record separately about Hillary Clinton, and I've done something today that I had hoped that I would never have to do, and that's look at her chart. But I'm kind of glad I did it now.
It's one of those things, not a closet door you want to open.
Yes, because when I see the chart, it's a link in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I want to link there. And if you are a supporter of Hillary Clinton, you probably want to just hit stop now, click on somewhere else, and don't send me any emails about my voicing my opinion about Hillary Clinton, because I'm, first of all, not interested in it, because you need to do more research. And the people that have not done research into this and are not looking at the platform are blind and under mind control. And there's really just there's a small segment of those people that really, truly, there are very, very few people in support, and it's a certain very limited demographic that is. So I'll only comment about the announcement today as part of the winnowing out process of Dumavati. And remember that I said when we started this year, this solar lunar year, Uranus was in conjunction at the new moon in Aries. That means that every month is different, and the magic carpet ride, where it goes, nobody knows, because we can't know with Uranus. We won't know until the end of it. There's no way to predict. But what I can tell you is Miss Clinton has several planets in Scorpio, and she's about to meet the black moon. If you've met the black moon, you know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Since I just came out of that, I'm more than happy to hear it.
So we will do that another time. Now we're going to talk about this month. All right. So everything comes out in the open. Things are coming out in the open. It's a cardinal cycle. This month is a cardinal cycle, meaning it takes place in a cardinal sign. It's Cancer. That's when we move, when we have a new moon at a cardinal sign, is when we have changes in direction, shifts. So for the last 2 months, we've been struggling through the energy as the seed that is planted at the new moon, or the new moon time of the year, the first month. And for the last 2 months, it's been like the seed that was planted trying to pop out open and make its way through the soil up to the top, to the light. Okay, so we've been in darkness in the soil for 2 months because we had 2 lunar months that were solar crescent cycles. They took place in that portion of the wheel. Mm-hmm. So now we come to first quarter, and we're going to have 2 first quarter cycles, 2 first quarter months, and that action is about stepping out and taking action. Okay, the new moon in Cancer was conjunct Mercury, which is our thinking processes, but it also opposed Pluto. The sun is in opposition with Pluto now for a few days. It's a big deal because Pluto rules transformation, and it takes things from the darkness, and it rules Scorpio, which is where the black moon is now. Mm-hmm. And so in essence, we have underworld energies bringing out what's in the dark. We also have, at the new moon, a trine with Neptune, which brings nebulousness and great clarity on the polarities there. In addition, there's a grand trine in water signs between Venus, Mars, and Chiron. And this will bring wounding and healing and teaching from relationships. Whenever Venus and Mars are together, it's related to relationships. And so we are in a month that is a change in direction, the next 2 months, and of stepping out and taking action. Last month was what the energetics were designed to fortify us internally, to make us stronger, to bring out into actualization more of who we are, and balance between the inner, sacred, and masculine. Where if you're imbalanced on low on the inner feminine side, that was trying to come up. If you're imbalanced on the masculine side with assertion, that's trying to come up. And that's for everybody. Beyond gender here, let's not go there. Okay, within the energetics are, in addition to all of them pointing to enlightenment and bringing things to light, it's very much about drawing a line, making a line. You know, I always talk about we hold the line. The line is drawn, and today certainly lines were drawn, and that will ripple out. Okay, so a very old man facing a vast space to the northeast is about facing the unknown, facing the truth, tapping into the shadow side, the east, the northeast, and help and guidance from places you might not expect them, unusual sources providing information. But it also increases our ability to see truth. It promotes courage. It is the degree of the star Sirius. It can bring about feelings of abandonment and of being lost in a void, like as in a dark night of the soul, which may be what you are experiencing if your sun sign is Taurus or Scorpio, or if you have the black moon or Chiron in Taurus or Scorpio. The Taurians and the Scorpios are integrating the most, right now they're integrating more of Sophia's shadow than people with other signs. And that's what we're doing with the shadow side and with the archons. It is the dissolving of Sophia's shadow side. We are taking that on in part and sending it back to her through the earth. And just briefly, I want to mention, I was thinking this yesterday, we so much talk about ascension. For years I've been talking about ascension is really descension, because the route to ascension is down and through, not up and out. Ascension, in its common understanding, is thought of as existing outside of ourselves and something to achieve, to rise towards. But it's much more accurate to turn the direction and root ourselves, ground ourselves with the planet, with Sophia, and shoot the energy down that way, back to her. Mm-hmm. That's where the way it goes, down and out, not down and through, not up and out. Okay.
So it's a grounding thing.
Very much so. It's internal. It's not external. It's not outside of us. We've been led to believe that through a lot of mind control programs within the New Age. Mm-hmm. Russia is the highlight this month. What will happen? Will Russia leak emails? Will Russia they're already showing reinforcements in Syria. What will happen? Drawing of lines is happening, and so that's where we're really going to want to watch. Mm-hmm. Okay, the clarity. My intention every time, clarity. My new moon intention. It's been my new moon intention for years. The more you work with one intention, the stronger it gets. So add it in, because we always need more clarity. Mm-hmm. Mercury at the new moon, which was conjunct the new moon, was disseminating the energy of a large diamond in the first stages of the cutting process, all about clarity, being able to see through things beginning, taking shape, things that have taken a long time to develop, coming to fruition, coming to terms with things. Rough around the edges, as Linda Hill describes the Sabian symbol. New endeavors are highlighted. Venus located at a prima donna singing. It's at 21 degrees of Cancer, which is a square to the Eris point. The Eris point energy is pulled in with this. The prima donna singing is a translation of the voice of the people rising. Powerful voices. Drama that has occurred over the last month now comes to some sort of structure, and also with that feminine energy coming in, it balances out with very old man facing a vast dark space to the northeast. So strength of voice. And what are we seeing here today with this announcement? The voice of the people is not being listened to. It's not being heard. It's being disregarded. That's not going to go over very well.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons is Saturn's retrograde is the new moon at 11 degrees of Sagittarius and the lamp of physical enlightenment at the left temple. The left. Light brought to the left. Connecting the left and the right. All source the left hemisphere. All of this. The left is highlighted, which brings balance, right? This is all about trying to balance out. Light on this side balances, light on the other side, it's balancing. Jupiter at the new moon was located at Two Girls Playing with a Ouija board, and this is an energetic that, first of all, is expansive because it's Jupiter, but enforces an idea of being in over your head or feeling of being in over your head, and which breeds powerlessness and non-action. So that is an expansive energetic that will unfold throughout the month, but also messages received with that energetic. Regardless of what you think about Ouija boards, I'm not a fan, but that's what that energy is about.
Mm-hmm.
At the new moon, Mars was located at crowds coming down the mountain to listen to one inspired man, and pretty much I think that just identifies Donald Trump, about realizations, messages, a charismatic leader, someone able to inspire. But on July 12th, Mars is going to finally move off that degree because that's the degree it's stationed direct at. And so when it slowed down the closer it got to it, and then it just pretty much held and we were in lock. Mars retrograde holds everything in lock. It's very difficult to move forward, and if that retrograde affected in your chart, you probably were just losing your mind because you couldn't get it to go. Nothing was going. Your energy was probably depleted. All preparation for a rebirth. But on July 12th, Mars will move to the degree of an X-ray photograph, and so it's about seeing through things all the way through. And so again, we have this energetic of light shining through, brought to darkness. Mm-hmm. Now, at the new moon, the black moon was located opposite the Chiron point, still in conjunction, but had moved off, and that was a massive rocky shore resist pounding of the sea. Emotional assaults, relentless pounding, fortitude required. But today, the black moon has moved to the next degree, which is a gold rush tears men away from their native soil. And so it moves from that need to withstand and hold the line, basically, and just, handle the pounding, now moves to an easier, or at least trying to find an easier way to do something, but also chasing something, chasing a promise, chasing something that has eluded us, chasing something we want. When the black moon is in Scorpio, Taurus polarity, we want what we want, and we want it now. Okay, this causes a lot of problems interpersonally because when people aren't getting their way, they get angry, and then they react.
I live with a lot of those.
Yes. Pluto, again, opposite the new moon, was at a girl surreptitiously bathing in the nude. It's about releasing restrictions, and it's about going against the norm or the status quo. And so it has people diverging and doing things surreptitiously, right, going against the norm and the grain of things. This will be interesting to watch as this unfolds. Mm-hmm. Neptune also, again, in aspects at the new moon. Neptune is at an examination of initiates in the sanctuary of an occult brotherhood, the ordeals of initiation. And this is many types of initiation. I'm sorry?
That has to be at Neptune, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's the initiation of humanity into adulthood, because that's what's happened with the music of the spheres and us ascending into a higher dimension of energetics. We have to grow up now, take responsibility, and everybody has to do that now. No one gets that free ride in all forms. I don't mean that, just financially. It is about maturity. Chiron is at a new moon, or Chiron at the new moon was at a new moon, reveals that it's time for people to go ahead with their different projects. And this is the winnowing that I'm talking about. There's a resonance. There's a divergence before a convergence. So the way that we will see things go in the world, interpersonally, geopolitically, macro, micro levels, are people going in different directions, but then they will come back together. Okay, so we want to project this and prepare for this. If you see things starting to split off, because the divide and conquer tactic is the best tactic that the Archons in the New World Order have. And the worst one that they have, their weaknesses is they can't innovate. They mimic, and they do the same things every time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the energetics are about branching out, stepping out in new directions, like in first quarter phases, like we're in the first quarter solar phase. And you may think that that's a done deal, or, that's the end of that. No, not necessarily, because there will be a divergence before there is a convergence. It will be unified once again. As I understand it, it will splinter in different ways and strengthen in service of unity. Does that make sense, Andrew?
That does make sense.
Okay, so, we just, don't get too emotionally worked up in things, because the magic carpet ride is not over. Remember, this is...
Take a thought of it this way, and as a little divergence, I was just speaking with, at least on Facebook, with a friend of mine in the UK who was talking about the situation there, and they were firmly on one side of the equation when the vote came down. And what they found afterwards was that every single side there is completely and totally confused and has no clue which way to go. So they're kind of all floating around, but they're going to come to a convergence because they had a vote, and that's the way it's going to go. But they're going to all have to figure out their way to get there.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of where it seems. I mean, everything that happened there, nobody was expecting it. For God's sake, they should have. But I think that they were all kind of, hiding and saying, no, it's going to go away, but it didn't. And all of the different players, from the ones that won what they wanted and the ones that didn't, all of a sudden have to say, hey, wait a second, how are we going to make this work? Because, well, it's what the people wanted.
Yes. And so
they'll have to get there.
Right, and the process by which that happens is Second Renaissance. Mm-hmm. Okay, because what it will do is all of those parts that are divided will become stronger, and then the resonance factor will bring them all back together in alignment. And so the way we watch this happen is at the cardinal new moon. At this one, the Cancer new moon, the Libra new moon, and then the Capricorn new moon. Okay, so, and most, the black moon is going to be in effect in Scorpio until Valentine's Day 2017. Okay, so that's, and of course, the new moon in Aries isn't until the end of March in 2017. So we're still, nobody should feel defeated or powerless by any means, because we're collaborating with higher forces. Okay, there are things happening that we don't see, and it's not all up to us. Okay, the problem of the Archons is bigger than humanity. We take our role in collaboration with spiritual forces to remedy the situation. And so there's no reason to be dejected with what is happening now, because it is all going to come out better. This is the way it has to go first, and this is the way we write it, right? Write it out.
Mm-hmm. Makes for a pretty interesting story.
Yeah. Well, and it's an incredible time to be here and to participate, because this is why we're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to to be able to create a hundred monkey effect, and that's just spreading.
Mm-hmm.
Uranus at the new moon was at a double promise, reveals its inner and outer meanings. Okay, so this is choices, this is double dealings, things being much more complicated than intended or when they started out. But again, it's revealed. The double promise is revealed. Okay, so we know that the Sabian symbols have efficacy. We've got the data. Astrologers have been collecting the data for a very long time. Now we can know with some certainty that what was done in the dark was brought to the light. It's coming out now is the time. And then the sacred masculine is taking a more assertive role now. And Mars retrograde had a lot to do with that, because that's energy, aggression, and the masculine principle, and assertion. Aggression doesn't mean necessarily, something bad. It means you can aggressively pursue something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so higher forces are elevating us, strengthening us, so that the trauma reactions of the changes in the world don't pull us down.
Mm-hmm.
Genie's out of the bottle. That happened at the new moon in Aries in April. We're going to see a lot happening between now and October. The tide is going to turn in October in a big way. The Sabian symbol for the new moon in Libra on September 30th is 3 old masters hanging in a special room in an art gallery. The masters are going to decide who's going to pass and who isn't. And by pass, I mean be supported, withstand, come to another level, a higher level with it, succeed.
Mm-hmm.
The Capricorn cycle, the Sabian symbol for that cycle, it begins on December 29th, and the Sabian symbol is an angel carrying a harp, which is lovely. Mm-hmm. And so we have that to look to project towards, to look forward to know how, to some degree, how things are going to play out, because that will calm things. We will need that because February and March are going to be very, very active. Mm-hmm. The month of March is the big one. The Aquarius cycle is huge because that begins on January 27th. That's a flag is seen turning into an eagle. And so remember all these as these things are happening, and frustration with the people's voice not being heard, all that is going to do is rally people. Okay, they've crossed the line now, and grassroots has risen. This is where the power and the support is now. Trauma symptoms, trauma reactions. That's what the archons do. They induce trauma. And we know that the best thing is to not react from an emotional place. The reaction is healthy and normal. The action that you take with it is what we have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Don't act out of emotion with things. It's never a good idea, but this month especially. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of gaslighting going on. If you don't know that term, basically that is inciting somebody by making them think that they were crazy, or that, oh, you think that way, there's something wrong with you, or you must be going through some kind of breakdown, because that never happened. Mm-hmm. And people don't know what to do with that, because it's a form of mind control. And so as we're watching all of the spin of what's happening, the mind control that is in place, know that all of that is unsupported and is collapsing. It's unraveling. Those systems are not supported any longer. That's by virtue of humans collaborating with higher forces and towards the right thing, the restoration of goodness. So there's a lot to look at. It will be emotional because we did have the Grand Trine in water. Last month was very emotional anyway, because it was the woman dramatizing her speech, the drama. Just so tired of the drama. We remember our role. Our role is to attend to wisdom, to observe like the wise owl in the tree, and to take action when necessary. And it's time for action. And it's time to plan. It's time to prepare, because I think we see where this is going now. I think that today has been very enlightening. Goodness, Andrew, let's talk about Christine's painting for the new moon.
Yes, I'll dial that up. I got to say thank you to Christine, because the minute I saw it, I was just amazed. And I think the thing that, as I was telling you earlier, that jumped out at me was the Fibonacci spiral that's in the northeast corner. It just really drew this whole thing together. So, Christine, you did a fantastic job in interpreting this whole time, because I'm seeing it completely.
Yeah, such a powerful image. She and I had a brief chat last week, and I talked to her a little bit about the Sabian symbol and my experience with that Sabian symbol, and also what it was showing, how they were flowing, not just for this year but for next year, because there's a lot of air involved. This year, the theme for the solar lunar year, is the magic carpet of Oriental imagery. Well, the new moon in Aries next year is a woman's hat with streamers blown by the east wind. Okay, so we have the man facing the very dark space to the northeast right now, and then for next year, it's all going to be about at the east. And certainly the east is moving west, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
So you can see on her painting with the carpet, and then there's the woman with her hat being blown with the streamers. And so it's such a powerful image and just absolutely gorgeous. And when I saw that it was a wise Indian man, I hadn't even thought of that. So I just love it. I just absolutely adore it. Thank you so much, Christine. We love your work.
Definitely, and I love how just this whole image resonates with the things that we're talking about, and you just nailed it. So kudos to this painting, and everyone take a look at it and really kind of study it, because it's just breathtaking.
Yeah, there's a lot in that. It's definitely captured so much of what we have now, and I think the open hand. We can pull in the Sabian symbol of the hand prominent flexed with the thumb, and hold out your hand, give your hand, assist, raise your hand, raise your voice, say what you have to say, do what you need to do, follow your heart. We're all being guided. We're all being protected. And we look at what is going wrong, and we forget about all the things and how far we've come. The discussions that we can now have politically with people and about the changes in our world, we couldn't have a year ago because people weren't on the same page enough. But now we are. And we wouldn't have thought that would have happened this soon. Okay? No. Don't fall for the play here, guys. This is the beginning. We've only just begun with this. And we're ready. And we want this because a better world is waiting for us, and we're ready to create it.
I think one of the things that I see is that, all of the things that I look at in the news, whether it's most of it in the alternative news, all of a sudden gains such a foothold with what happened today because it's such a blatant lie. Nobody is so stupid as to believe this. Well, there are a few of them, but it totally lends credence to all of these people who have been saying it all along. And all of a sudden, you're kind of like, do people really fall for this? Yeah, MSNBC does have its followers still, but I think everybody else is just sick of it.
Yes, and it's an act of desperation. It was miscalculated from the beginning. I mean, it's naked. Do they seriously think that on one day, the husband of the subject of a huge federal investigation gets on a plane, no cameras, nobody taking pictures, no Secret Service, no one around, and they have a little chat with the Attorney General.
And they're talking about their grandchildren.
And then the next day, the subject of the investigation is apparently deposed for a few hours, and then Loretta Lynch says, "Oh, I will look at all of the evidence and then make my decision." Well, then we have a holiday, 4th of July, and then this morning, wow, no indictment. Seriously? Does anything happen that fast in court? No, it doesn't. And where was the time to study whatever the investigations were? You depose her for 3 hours and then take the holiday off, and then on Tuesday you come out? No, no one's buying this. And it shows desperation because it was a bad play. Now she wants the email out. The political move is you put out in your own way whatever is your weakness or detriment, and spin it your own way. It's not going to be spun this way. And she should have had, if she was going to try to sweep this under and get this done, she should have done that before the Black Moon moved into Scorpio. She didn't have a chance with it. And I don't believe her health is going to withstand. If I'm wrong and she steals it and gets away with it, I should say, it will still come down. The goddess Kali will use her to bring it down, because the goddess Kali does not really care much for that arcanically possessed humans. And I've held my tongue about as long as I can about it all. So I have particular insight into, or I guess I shouldn't say insight. I could say that by looking at her chart, but I have particular loathing for her for a very special reason, and I'm going to talk about that. It's time now. I'm the micro Hillary Clinton. So the micro anti-Hillary Clinton. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But for another day. I think that's all. We're focusing on the light. We see that there are face-offs happening. We take our stand personally with what we need to do in our lives. This isn't about, the U.S. presidential election. This is much greater. We're talking about the micro level of how this influences our lives and then thus influences the collective. We'll have, Andrew and I will have a couple of announcements in the next few days. It's first quarter, time of the year to step out.
I was going to say, it is first quarter. Welcome to the first quarter, and things are going to be happening. We're stepping out.
Yeah, because we follow the cycles. We follow the natural energetics of the sun and the moon, and when is the proper time to do things? Now is the proper time to begin to take action. You got to work with the time. You got to work with the cycles instead of against them, as much as we would rather not, because no one really likes waiting around. But there's not a whole lot you can push through. You just have to persevere during the crescent months like we just had, the two of them. And now we have 2 months of first quarter where we will step out and take action. And so here we go. Magic Carpet Ride takes a right turn and faces the northeast. So we'll come back and see how it goes.
Well, listen,
right.
to everyone, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We've got a lot happening right now, and as we've said before, we live in interesting times, and things are changing.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you, everybody, and be talking soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.